Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your boy, Atypical Security Guard. Today, we're going to do the breakdown of the recent Antifa video. So this was on the day of the Kyle Rittenhouse verdict that came down, like many times before, and what often happens here in Portland. There are protests that are associated with any high-profile case. If you've been following this page, you know that I spent about 5 months last year working executive protection security at the protest for everything that happened during the George Floyd Black Lives Matter movement. So I want to say a couple of things. Number one, I want to give a disclaimer. I'm going to be breaking down this video and talking about what I'm seeing based on my experience from working downtown in Portland during the protests. I think that for security guards, this video offers a lot of insight as to, number one, what it's like being downtown during these protests. Now, albeit everything that happened this past week was a lot smaller scale than what happened last year with the George Floyd protest, but it does kind of give you a glimpse on how quickly Antifa moves and how fast these things can go south. Now, the situation I'm going to be showing you guys today, no one was hurt. There were no injuries that I'm aware of. But you can see from this video, from a security standpoint, how quickly things could deteriorate and how bad this could have gone if different decisions were made or things just would have kind of devolved. So I think from an educational standpoint, this is a really good video for us to watch. A few more things. I'm still working out with this system how to add videos in real time so that we can kind of stop them, break them down, and talk about them. So please be patient with that. Give me a little bit of time as I kind of work out the kinks. Also, this is just my personal opinion. I am not giving professional advice. Number one, I'm giving you my opinion. And this is all strictly based off of my experience, me being there, and then what I'm seeing and what I would do in that situation. I am not speaking for any organization. I'm not speaking on behalf of any employer. I'm not speaking on behalf of anyone that I might work with in the future or possibly have worked with in the past. This is my personal view of what happened. This video is public. You can find it online. You can find it on YouTube. This is not something that I have an exclusive on. I just happen to bring this to you. And then full transparency, the news crew that is involved in this, I have worked for this crew. I have actually been in this position, in this same situation. And while I would have handled it differently, nothing that I'm saying should be taken as negative towards whatever security team they had working for them or whatever detail. It's super easy to kind of Monday morning quarterback and come in and nitpick and see things and say things differently. But I wasn't there. And the people that were there made the decisions that they thought were best at the moment. And luckily, everyone came out unscathed. So I just want to give that little disclaimer before going into this. And what I'm going to do is actually play the video full all the way through without me saying anything. And then we'll kind of back up and then go through some of the things that I see. So let me add this to the stream here. See if I can get this to come up here. And I apologize for it being so small, guys.
What are you guys filming right now? Why? You're not trying to say shit. Let's get it. You're not trying to say shit. I'm not saying shit to the camera. You guys need to back the fuck up. We're not here trying to get our message. Come on. Come on. Oh, really? Yeah. You're here to get our message. To get our message. Come on. Come on. And let him walk. Let him walk. Let him walk. Wow! Yeah. Oh, yeah, good choice. Stop filming. Okay, you're going to turn that camera off right now. I'm advising you to turn that camera off right now. Turn that fucking camera off right fucking now. Turn that camera off now. Turn the fucking camera off now. Turn that fucking camera off. I'll fucking break your fucking camera. You want me to fucking break your fucking camera off now, motherfucker. Fucking camera off. What are you gonna do, homie? Fucking trying to tell you, homie. You wanna get fucking buck wild on me? I'll fucking knock you off one side.
All right, so guys, listen. Clearly, this is a very dark video. I'll try and do a little bit more with it in post production to kind of give you guys a little bit more of a glimpse. But what you're seeing in the video, this is just my quick breakdown, is you have the camera crew that is in close proximity to a group of Antifa protesters. As you can tell, everyone is dressed in black. They call this block. I guess the idea is that if everyone wears black and they all, can conceal their identity and they move as one block, no one can be singled out. No one can be blamed or charged for anything that happens down there. But you can see that being in close proximity, clearly if you're a news organization, they want to get the absolute best shot. Let me see if I can move into there we go. They want to get the absolute best shot. So when you're down at these protests, you might have anywhere from 4 to say 10 different news organizations. When the protests were really going hard, you would have national news organizations like Fox News or some of these more famous internet or web-based news organizations. You have a lot of teams, and these teams would be a cameraman and a reporter, and then you would have your security detail. Sometimes you might have technicians or mic workers. So, all throughout this downtown area, which, could be anywhere from one city block to multiple city blocks, you'll have embedded within the protest different camera crews. And they're very easy to pick out because you've got a well-dressed reporter and you've got a cameraman and there's lights and, that kind of stuff it just welcomes attention from Antifa. And so generally what they would do is, like you see, come over and harass the reporters, a lot of times try and damage the cameras or just kind of get in the way of the view of the camera. So personally, again, this is my personal opinion, when I'm working these protests, one of the things that I try to do is coordinate with the cameraman and the entire crew. Let them know, listen, these are the areas that are going to be hot spots. This is the buffer zone. This is the area where I feel comfortable as a security guard having you guys be set up. I think that this is going to be a better option versus this other option. I think that this is a better location versus this location, and just kind of reading that environment when you're down there. And you can tell when things are kind of amped up, or you can tell when things are a little bit more passive. But as you can see, this stuff is extremely fluid and it happens really, really fast. You need to have safe words, you need to have go words, you need to have your rendezvous points, and you need to be aware of your surroundings at all times. So what I want to do is kind of bring the video back up. Let me see if I can bring this in on a shared screen. Let's go with this one. And again, I apologize that this is so small. I'm going to go ahead and back this up, and then we're going to just break this down step by step. So bear with me. Let's get right into it. So I'm stopping right here. Okay. This group, these guys are about, I would say, 15 to 20 yards away from the group of Antifa that you can see behind them up against that wall, right? The second that this person starts to approach, I'm lighting him up with a flashlight and I'm saying stop. I'm identifying myself as security and I'm letting him know that I'm armed. And I'm telling you guys this because I was in this exact same situation. If you go on my page, there's a video from a situation that happened last year in December called the Red House. And it was an area where Antifa had basically taken over a property and blocked off about one city block. They had cordoned it off. They weren't letting anyone in without permission, weren't letting anyone out without permission. And they actually were doing this with armed guards. They had, 4 to 5 people with AR-15s, with shotguns, with handguns. And when I went down with one of the news crews to report on this, we were about a half a block away from where the first barricade was in this autonomous zone. And this is about 5 o'clock in the morning. A group of Antifa protesters approached us, all of them armed. And before they could get within, 20 yards of us, I'm hitting them with the flashlight and letting them know, listen, I'm security. Stop. Do not approach me. Do not approach me. I'm letting this person know, this guy right here, I'm letting him know before he gets past that line, stop. Do not approach me. I'm security. If he gets closer to me, I'm going to let him know that I'm armed, right? So the fact that he gets extremely as close as he does to what I'm assuming, and guys, listen, again, there's so many variables in this video that I don't know. I'm assuming that the person that gets in between this protester and say the cameraman or the reporter, I'm assuming that this is their security guard, okay, by the way that he's acting and the things that he's saying. But in my personal opinion, the fact that he allows this person to get so close without saying anything or trying to get in between him a lot sooner, that to me is a problem. So we'll see that he gets extremely close right here.
What are you guys filming right now? Why?
All right. So he asks, what are you guys filming right now? He gives him an answer and he says, why? In my personal opinion, in my time at these protests, I don't engage in this conversation because there's nothing that you're going to say that is going to satisfy them other than what I'm going to tell you that I've always said. If and when this person were to get this close, if we've gotten past the don't approach me and he's come up a little bit further, at this point in time, I'm already signaling to the crew that it's time to go. When he says, what are you guys filming? At the very most, what I'm going to say is, we're filming for a news story. The second that he repeats or says the next thing, I'm going to say, would you like for us to leave? 9 times out of 10, or better yet, 10 times out of 10, they're going to say yes. And I'm going to say, no problem. We're gone. At that point in time, the crew has already started packing up and we're going to start backing away. The crew is going to start to leave. They know where to go. They know where the rendezvous point is. They know where the vehicle is. I'm staying facing the protesters and I'm slowly backing away, making sure that I'm not losing sight of the people that are in front of me. But I'm not going to engage this person in a conversation past saying, if you want us to leave, we'll leave, no problem. I'm not going to argue. I'm not going to fight. I've already informed this person that I'm security. At this point, I've already informed this person that I'm armed. I'll also inform them that I don't want to do any harm to them or anybody else. We're simply here getting video footage for the news. But if they want us to leave, we will leave immediately. We're gone. It's that simple. So the fact that this conversation continues, to me, it only allows the other people that are in the group that are about 20 yards away, I'm assuming, to overhear the conversation. And you're going to see something else that happens oftentimes during these protests. I'm going to move this on.
You're not trying to send our message. Let's get
we do a slow
You're
back.
not trying to send our message. I'm not saying shit to the camera. You guys need to back the fuck up. We're not here trying to get our message.
Okay, so in the background here, guys, there's a guy here with a beard and a hat, and a couple of guys off to the right. You hear someone in the background say, "Is this Antifa?" And they start laughing. Generally, at these protests, specifically like in a situation like the Rittenhouse verdict, you're not only going to have Antifa, you're going to have Proud Boys, Patriot Prayer, or just your general quote unquote patriots, right? And these two groups, Antifa and your patriots, they're going to kind of be jawing at each other back and forth. A lot of times it stays, verbal. It generally descends into people pushing, shoving, and throwing punches. We have had a situation where two people from opposing sides got into it, and someone was shot and lost their life last year. So I'm going to go out on a limb and just say that these guys that are in the back here are more than likely either on that patriot side or just general bystanders. I think what is happening here is you're going to see the security, you're going to see what I'm assuming is one of the reporters, and then you're going to see a group of guys in the back that are almost coming over. And I think what they're doing is telling the security team and telling the reporters, "Don't worry, we got your back." That's what I'm thinking is happening, because I don't think that these guys that are in the background are with the Antifa guys. Now, I could be wrong, but just from the way that they're dressed and kind of the things that are being said, I don't think that I'm wrong on this. So I'm going to go ahead and play a little bit more.
Come on. Come on.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You're here to get our message. To get our message. Come on.
Now, there's a moment right here. You'll see that the Antifa member that approaches, he's now kind of surrounded by what I'm assuming is a security guard here. This guy in the back, I believe, is a reporter. And then I'm not sure who this is on this side. Now, there's going to be some jostling back and forth, and you're going to see the Antifa guy reach into his pocket. He reaches for something, and the person that I'm assuming is a security guard, he tries to go 2-on-1. He tries to get both hands on this person's hand and initiate control. But the Antifa guy is able to get out a flare and pop that flare off, and the smoke starts to come up. A lot of times, the reason why they do that is to try and signal to the other Antifa members to come over. All right, so we'll go ahead and play that.
And let him walk. Let him walk. Let him walk.
He reaches in, he goes 2-on-1, pops the flare right here. Now we got smoke. At this point, the approach, the statements that he makes, the fact that he has reached into his pocket, he set off this flare. At this point, we're so far in a bad situation. If that would have been a firearm or a knife, you've got a potentially lethal situation here. At the very least, at this point, and this is again easy for me to say from the confines of this desk, I'm going to tell you what I would do, but first and foremost, I would not be in this situation. I wouldn't be in the situation that these guys are in, to the best of my ability, because I feel like we would have already been gone, number one, or have not been that close to that group of people, number two. Okay. But assuming that we've gotten to this point, I'm pepper spraying this person or I'm putting him on the ground. There's no way he's reaching in his pocket. He's pulling out that flare. He's popped that. And we're still in the situation where he's following the cameraman, because the cameraman, remember, is the one that's filming this. Now, this guy over here to the left with his hand in his pocket, I'm assuming that's the second security guard. His right hand never leaves his pocket. His left hand is exposed multiple times through this video. So I'm assuming that he's armed and he has his hand on his firearm. That's just my assumption. Or he has his hand on some sort of either non-lethal, less than lethal. But either way, he never produces anything, at least in this video. If this is the second security guard and they're working in a team, both of these guys should have put this guy on the ground physically and restrained him. If not, pepper sprayed him or tased him or something. But at this point, the situation is already getting out of hand. You see the guy that's on the right here, who I'm assuming is, like I said, a patriot. I'm just going to say patriot for the sake of the video. He puts his arm around who I'm assuming is a security guard. Now, again, it's hard for me because I can't hear what's being said. I'm assuming what he's saying to him is, "Don't worry, I got your back." But he puts his arm around what I'm assuming is a security guard. And you're going to see this guy try and move his arm off. He tries to brush it off. You've got what I'm assuming is the second security guard now pacing the Antifa guy, but the Antifa guy is now moving twice the speed towards the camera guy, and he's threatening the cameraman. He's saying, "You better turn this off. You better turn that goddamn camera off." So why this security guard at this point hasn't done something to me is, again, it's just putting everybody in danger.
Turn that camera off right now. Turn that fucking camera off right fucking now. Turn that camera off now. Turn the fucking camera off now. Turn that fucking camera off. I'll fucking bring your fucking camera.
So at this point, I'm assuming that there's more than one Antifa guy. I think that these are two separate people that are screaming. And again, the strength. If you were to have time to be downtown and see these protests, the majority of the people that are in block, they're kids. They're young, and when I say kids, I'm talking about, teenage to early 20s. They're very, very young, and they're small. They're very small in stature. Their strength is in numbers, and their strength is kind of in swarming that situation. I feel like the best way to alleviate the situation that we're watching right now, aside from not being there, not being in that direct, line of sight, or being in a position where you kind of get their attention, right? They know that the news crews are down there. They don't like it. They're not fans of it, but they understand that we're going to be down there, right? Um, but you've got to move quick, and you have to. I don't want to say you have to move quick, and you have to assert that you're not a threat, but you're not to be messed with, in my opinion. This situation is spiraling out of control, and things are starting to get loud. Once it gets loud, and it starts to kind of go south, and you're also dealing with so many other variables. It's dark. Everybody on this evening was amped up. You're talking about the night of the verdict. This is just in so many ways such a bad situation. I'm so thankful and grateful that it didn't go worse than it did. Unfortunately, from this point forward, you're not going to see a lot because of the dark. I'm sure that the cameraman is at this point really trying to get out of the way. And at one point, he is going to drop the camera. But just for the audio, I'm going to go ahead and play it.
Fucking bring your fucking camera off now, motherfucker! Fucking take it off! What are you gonna do, homie? I'm gonna get fucking buck.
Now you can hear at this point either the cameraman or someone is saying, "Okay, we're out, we're out, we're out, we're out, we're out, we're out." That should have been, in my opinion, again, in my opinion, that should have been the first thing. Aside from the security guard stopping this person and getting the cameraman and the reporter to have more of a head start heading back to the vehicle, I'm out or we're out should have been the thought process a lot earlier. If not, when he starts to make that approach, definitely after they go hands on, when they go for the 2-on-1, definitely when he pops that flare, because things are starting to go south. All they want you to do is not film them. They don't want to be filmed. They don't want people to see them. They don't want to be quote unquote doxxed and found out to have been down there or being involved in anything. So in my opinion, the best thing to have done would just be to say, we're shutting it down and we're moving. You're going to go somewhere else. You're going to get a different shot. You're going to be, far enough away from the action, quote unquote, where the cameraman and the news anchor is a little bit more safe. I'm out should have been what they had done a lot sooner. Now, right here, you're going to see what I'm assuming is someone taking one of the lights that was brought down by the camera crew, and someone's going to get hit in the head. And you can hear them saying, "Get your bitch ass out of here now." Now, again, I don't know if this is a situation where, one of the it's so hard. I don't want to say one of the right wing groups, but I'm going to say one of the right wing groups. You don't know if they got involved at this point, and that's the tussle. You don't know if this is the security team getting involved at this point, and that's the tussle. You can't tell. And again, you have to just kind of understand that there's so many things that we can't um, really figure out here because there's not a lot of clarity. I'm just giving you guys my opinion based on what I've experienced being down there. But clearly, there is a fight that is happening now. And the fact that the camera crew is still within the vicinity to me, unless the car is right there, if they're near where the car is, um, you know, I don't understand why they haven't gotten out of here at this point. You can hear people yelling, "Stop! Leave them alone! Stop! Stop!" Guys, look. Once it gets to this point, you don't have any control, and really, one of the things that I really understood being in that situation last year, so many things are out of your control. You don't have control. The only thing that you can do is try to mitigate the only thing that you can do is try to mitigate the risks, right? You really have to look at the situation and think, okay, where can we allow the cameraman, the crew to get their shot, to get what's necessary, but not put them in unnecessary danger. And the truth is, they're contracting the security. At the end of the day, the news reporter, the cameraman, the station itself, they're going to do what they want to do. If they want to get right in there and get that shot, you don't have the ability to say, you're not going to do that. You can't tell them what they can and what they can't do. You can only offer your advice, you can only offer your suggestion, but this is where, creating that relationship with the people that you're working with and being professional, this is where that comes into play, because once things start to get to this level where things are just falling apart, it's hard to come up with that plan in that moment. You have to do your due diligence well beforehand. That all stems from, how you interact with the crew, how you present yourself, your training, your abilities to understand and have that social awareness, that situational awareness. It all comes down to that. But again, you can't wait till you're in the situation to start thinking about these things. It's so easy for this stuff to just descend into chaos. And we're lucky there was no bullets flying, there were no major injuries, but that won't always be the case. And I think these guys came out extremely lucky. So I'm gonna go ahead and get off here. There's really nothing more to the video. I welcome your comments. If you have any questions, go ahead and ask those below, and I'll answer them, as truthfully and transparent as I can. Again, I've been right down here in this exact same situation, made a few different decisions, had a few different outcomes, and I'm so thankful that no one was hurt, injured, or killed. But yeah, that's the video. That's my assessment. That's my breakdown. And look forward to hearing from you guys. All right. Take care. Be great.